And with that, we welcome you into the Coles Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable. We are live from Applebee's in Farmington on a splendid Tuesday evening. It's fall weather, but we're nice, warm, and cozy inside of the Applebee's. And we're ready to talk some football. Griffin Weinberg here with you. Garrett Davenport sitting across from me. You can see us streaming on Twitter and on YouTube, or if you're listening online at mymoinfo.com or on your radio at 98.5 FM. We appreciate you tuning in. We are in the final week of the regular season. 8 games down for all of our area teams, and we had some barn burners on Friday night. I mean, we're going to break down 3 solid games that we had for you, including the J98 game of the week. That was, I don't know if we'd had a game like that maybe since last year, since that like Pies-Jefferson game, and then Jefferson's involved in this one. So that's going to be a fun one to break down. We'll give you a preview of some of the games that we're looking forward to this Friday. And we'll break down the other games in the area from last Friday, too. And the St. Pius Lancer is going to be joining us later on during the roundtable. So we'll talk with Coach Dan Oliver, some of the players here about their win over Bayless last week. And they got a fun matchup with Perryville this week. But, district standings, they're kind of starting to form together, Garrett. We had some great games last week. As far as the district goes, there could still be a little bit of movement, but I think for the most part, we can kind of run down at Class 1, District 1, St. Vincent. They're all but locked into that top seed. Class 1, District 2 with Crystal City, St. Pius, and Grandview. There could be a little bit of movement around there. Class 2, District 1, Jefferson, they're sitting in that 5 spot. Maybe they might be able to move up to the 4 seed. Class 3, District 1, St. Genevieve and Kennett. There could be a little movement there, and we'll talk about the game.
Kennett plays Valley Catholic.
Yeah, So Kennett plays Valley Catholic, and then St. Genevieve, it looked like, they get Wide Spring Camper back. They're kind of getting back to that full strength. Not necessarily there, but, I mean, boy, he really changes the dynamic of that team.
Oh, yeah, and think officially went for 200 yards yesterday receiving. Yeah. So, I mean, that connection with him and Aiden Boyer, I mean, we'll get to it a little bit later in the show, but that one, it was explosive. That offense for St. Genevieve looks really different with some of their key playmakers coming back.
Yeah, so St. Gen, they're the 4 seed in that district right now, but they are just 2 points behind Kennett that has the 3 seed. So they could flip-flop 3 and 4, and then that could change some things as far as that district goes. Herculaneum in Class 3 District 2, they're sitting in that 3 spot. They might have a chance to jump up to the number 2 seed because they're going to be playing the 7-1 Crystal City Hornets this week. They are 3 points behind the number 2 seed University City there. Class 4 District 1, I think that's pretty much settled. We know Hillsborough is the top seed there. North County's the 2. Festus beating Farmington, that solidifies them as the 3. But Perryville, they might be able to move up, depending what happens. Festus, they're playing Jackson this week, so that's going to be a tough one. There could be some shaking up there. Farmington, the 4 seed in Class 4 District 1. And then Windsor in Class 4 District 2, they're sitting in that 6th spot. Fox in Class 5 District 1, they're in the 5th spot. And then in Class 6 District 1, I mean, Seckman, they're 7-1. They look like they're one of the best teams in the area, but they're in the 3 seed for their district right now. That's because they got Marquette and CBC sitting in front of them. So there's a lot at stake this week, Garrett. I mean, there's a lot of movement, and I think in some of these districts, really anything could happen.
Yeah, especially that Class 1 District 2. I want to go back to that. Crystal City, St. Pius, and then Grandview, and especially that 3-4 seed. St. Pius and Crystal City, both with big games playing up against schools that are in a bigger class. So Crystal City wants to keep that 3 seed. They're going to have to beat Herculaneum, and St. Pius, they get a win against Perryville. We don't know what happens. Of course, Perryville, really competitive team as well. We saw over the weekend they did beat Herculaneum. So this is a good Perryville team as well. So Crystal City, Herky, St. Pius, Perryville, those 2 games coming up this Friday, this weekend, they're going to be really good ones and really big one when it comes to, all the district standings.
Yeah. So there could be some shaking up there, but there was some shaking up this past Friday night. I mean, boy, this J98 game between St. Gen and Jefferson, it was awesome. Garrett was there to live it, and he's going to talk about it. On the other side of this break, we'll break down the J98 game of the week. It's all coming up next on your Coles Tractor, come on, Griff, you got it together. Coles Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable here on 98.5 FM. The Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable. That's right. We love Kohl's Tractor and Equipment. They're home of the LS Tractor. Lead the herd, don't just follow the herd. From the Applebee's in Farmington, where you can come in, get some Tuesday night specials. We got spooky sips going on all month, just $6, where you can get a novelty drink for Halloween. And as always on Tuesdays, yeah, they got the Mucho Bahama Mama. This might be the night when I snag one of those things, Garrett.
You might have to. We don't have many Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtables left. We got to get a Mucho Bahama Mama. And also new burgers. Add boneless wings, 5 boneless wings to any burger for just $1. That's a crazy deal.
Yeah,
that's a crazy deal.
Heck of a deal, and it smells great in here. So again, shout out to Amy Cousins for giving us the setup and letting us sit here and talk some football in the J98 game of the week. I mean, it was awesome between St. John and Jefferson. The Dragons ended up winning 41-34, but let's take you back to the beginning of the game where it took just 2 plays for the scoring to get started in this one.
So here's Williams under center. He's going to roll out to his right to pass. Stokes wide open, a leaping grab, and Stokes is at the 40, at the 35, the 30, the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Jefferson. The screen pass to Sam Stokes in the flat, and he takes it all the way for a Blue Jay touchdown.
Jefferson missed the extra point, but then the offense started to stall a little bit. So it's 6-0 Jefferson, and then it takes 14 minutes and 43 seconds of game time, but the Dragons eventually were able to take the lead.
Boyer in the gun, 8:25 left to go in the first half. Farlow to his right, Johns to his left. Play action pass, slant route to Tucker Reed in for the touchdown. Just a quick pass from Aiden Boyer to Tucker Reed for 12 yards. For a St. Genevieve touchdown, and an extra point can give the Dragons the lead.
And you know, Griff, we talked on the Fleegs Equipment pregame show, really previewing this game. And coming into this one, these defenses were pretty much lights out. I mean, for St. Genevieve, you take away Valley Catholic and Central, they have been a really great defensive team. And, of course, Jefferson came into this game a great defensive team. So we were like, okay, this one's going to be a slugfest. It's going to probably be maybe a 14-7, 21-14 type of game. Couldn't be more wrong because things started to get wild.
Yeah, I mean, from here on out, you couldn't have predicted what happened. So let's just cut to it. Jefferson, Sam Stokes, he scored his second touchdown of the game with 3:01 left in the first half.
Here's the snap for Williams. This time they're going to pitch it out to Stokes. Stokes going down the right sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. Here he goes. Nothing but green grass ahead. Touchdown, Blue Jays. Sam Stokes goes down the right sideline for a Blue Jay touchdown. 56 yards, and the Blue Jays are back on top.
So 56 yards for Sam Stokes. Then 56 seconds later, the Dragons march down the field to set up a 2-yard Jack Farlow run for a score. They get back in front 13-12. 50 seconds later, 5-0. After that, Sean Ussery breaks off a 65-yard touchdown run, and Jefferson goes for 2. Now they're leading, and they convert it. They're leading 20-13 over St. John at this point. So you think it might be over. St. John takes the ball into the half. No. Another 50 seconds goes by. St. John ends up tying it up at 20 apiece going into the break.
32 seconds left to go before half. Ball at the 49-yard line. St. Genevieve with the football going from left to right. Boyer looking deep down the middle for Spring Camper. He's wide open. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, St. Genevieve. What a throw! 51 yards from Boyer to Wyatt Spring Camper. Touchdown, Dragons.
We touched on it, Garrett, but I mean, this kid really opens up the St. Genevieve offense. Having him back out there, I think it changes everything for the Dragons.
And talking to Coach Jay Pope before the game, you could just see that Aiden Boyer had a lot of confidence knowing that one of his top guys is back out there, and he really did make an impact. He was everywhere. He was running the football, catching a lot of passes, really beating guys one-on-one. Wyatt Springcamper really brings a different dynamic to the St. Genevieve offense that we really haven't seen since week 1 and week 2 for this offense. So Spring Camper getting back is going to be huge for this team as they go into district time. But man, what a finish to that first half. I mean, touchdowns everywhere.
Yeah, 4 of them in the final 3 minutes of that first half. So St. Genevieve gets the ball to start the second half, and then Boyer and Spring Camper, they connect for their second touchdown of the game. Now, Jefferson gets the ball back. Takes a little more time than less than a minute, but they answered on their ensuing drive to tie up the game again with a 22-yard Sean Ussery run. Defense kind of shows out at this point. Jefferson forces the Dragons to punt the football, and then Jefferson is forced to punt after the Dragons get a stop. But that punt by the Blue Jays was blocked by the Dragons, and it sets up St. John in good field position. Aiden Boyer, I mean, we talked about it. You heard it. He's slinging the ball all night, but at this point, he used his legs to give St. Genevieve the lead in the fourth quarter.
Boyer's in the gun, going from right to left. 10:35 left to go in this game. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Barlow to the right in the backfield with him. Here's the snap. They're going to give it. It's a play action. Boyer going to roll out to the right side. Pressure coming, and he's going to stretch out for the pylon. He's in for the touchdown. Boyer extends the play, turns the corner, reaches out for the pylon, gets in for a Dragons touchdown. 33-27, 10:20 left to go in this ball game. 5-yard run for Boyer.
And this game really just shows how important all three phases of the football game are. Offense, of course, both teams played very well. Defense, both teams played as well as they could, but also special teams as well. Right there, that block punt, I think, was kind of the momentum shifter in this game. And going back to the three phases, the next Dragons defensive stop, that was really huge for them as they were able to go up 14.
Yeah, they get a stop on a 4th and short, and that's going to give any team a little bit of momentum and some energy. St. John, they capitalized that stop with a 34-yard Jack Farlow rushing touchdown. So now they're up 14 over Jefferson. But then the Blue Jays, they take the following kickoff down to the St. John 37-yard line. And quarterback Cole Williams, he heaved a long one to Nate Breeze. Tremendous touchdown grab on the first play of that drive.
Williams under center. Takes the snap, play action, looking. He's going to throw it deep for Breeze. Breeze brings it down. Touchdown, Jefferson. Nate Breeze with the moss. Goes up, grabs it, gets into the end zone for a Blue Jays touchdown. Just like that, the Blue Jays respond. What a game. 37 yards. This game not over, folks. Not over in the slightest.
Yeah, Cole Williams is a kid that, he's thrown the ball a couple of times like each game throughout the season, but not really that much. And it just seems like he was really comfortable throwing it in this one, Garrett.
Yeah, definitely. And that's because he had Nate Breeze out there. I mean, Nate Breeze is a really big target. I believe he's about 6'2", and he's got a lot of athleticism. So you really just throw it up there, and Nate Breeze is able to bring it down. There was actually another play later in the game where Nate Breeze would have brought one down for 67 yards. Eventually, it was called back. But Nate Breeze is just a stellar receiver. They're going to have another year of him over there. Cole Williams, another year for him as well. So they're just going to keep growing together as a tandem in that offense. But again, they run the football so well that they don't have to throw it. But when Cole Williams does throw it, especially towards Nate Breeze direction, they're going to come down with it more likely than not.
Yeah, so it's 41-34 St. John at this point. Jefferson gets the ball back with less than 2 minutes to go. They're moving the ball down the field. Then this happened.
Williams is in the gun. 2 to the left, 1 to the right. Got 2 tied in. Here's the snap. 3-step drop. Firing. Nate Breeze in double coverage, and it is picked off. It's Aiden Boyer in coverage. He's going to try to return it. Slides down to the 30. Boyer with the pick, and that might just seal it for St. Genevieve.
Yeah, I know Pope was talking about Aiden Boyer, and I saw during training camp he does some of those DB drills. You can throw him out there when you feel like you need him, and he throws for touchdowns, he runs for touchdowns, he gets the game-winning interception, and St. Genevieve head coach Jay Pope, he just said that this game was just flat out fun.
Yeah, it was a crazy one. It was a fun one. I told the kids after we just broke there that's what high school sports is supposed to be about. Fun back and forth, and great sportsmanship on both sides. Their fan section was going crazy. It was just a really fun Friday night environment.
Yeah, and just talking to Pope, I asked him, did you put Boyer out there because he's 6'2", Nate Breeze is 6'2", so you want to combat that? And he was just like, no, and Boyer wanted to be out there in that specific moment of the game. It had nothing to do with scheme. Just Boyer wanted to go get it and go win it for his team.
Senior leader, he wants to be out there, do whatever he can to help his team win. So offensively, Boyer goes for 320, 3 touchdowns and a rushing score. Spring Camper, his first full game this season, 14 catches, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. Blue Jays ran the ball well, 266 on the ground and 3 scores. Cole Williams over 130 yards passing. But it's the Dragons that improved to 6-2. They face Kelly at home this week, and Jefferson falls to 4-4. They will be the J98 game of the week again as they host St. Vincent. We'll step aside for a short break here. We'll return and break down the game on KREI between Farmington and Festus. That's all next on your Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable on 98.5 FM. Welcome back to this Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable from the Applebee's in Farmington. 6:26 Central Time, and now we're going to break down the game on KREI after we just broke down the J98 game of the week. Griffin Weinberg and Garrett Davenport with you at the Applebee's in Farmington. Great smells. Come on out and celebrate Tuesday night with us, just because it's a Tuesday. The Festus Tigers, they snapped a 3-game losing streak to Farmington and earned the 3 seed in Class 4 District 1 with a 41-20 victory at Hale Memorial Stadium. Farmington struck first. They had a 13-play, 65-yard drive that melted 8 minutes off the clock.
Oh, he's got a Birkener open on a wheel route to the left side, but now he breaks the pocket and runs, and he's to the 20, now the 10, picks up a block from McDowell, stretching to the end zone, touchdown, Brett Dry! A 24-yard scramble by the sophomore signal caller, and Farmington is on the board on a 4th and 4, 3:59 remaining in the first quarter. Knights lead, 6-zip.
Then Festus answered right back by going 78 yards to score, but they missed the extra point. So the Tigers, they scored 20 unanswered points. They took a 14-point advantage off the legs of Maya Cunningham.
Take their own yardage after that. They fake the jet sweep this time on the handoff, and Cunningham keeps it. Cunningham to the 30, to the 20, picks up a block, cuts back to the 10, the 5, diving for the end zone, and he's got it. Jeremiah Cunningham goes in from 36 yards, and Festus leads by 2 scores, 20-7 at the 7:30 mark of the second quarter.
Festus could have taken a bigger lead at the end of the half, but Brett Dry for Farmington came up with an interception in the end zone to keep the score a little close. So after trading touchdowns in the third quarter, Farmington's Owen Berkner, he ran it 65 yards to make it 26-20 Festus. That's when the Tigers really put their stamp on the game. After being pinned at their own 3-yard line, Festus went 97 yards in 8 plays, mixing the pass and the run. This time Cunningham, he went through the air.
All right, 4th and 15 for Festus from the 15-yard line. Cunningham back to pass, looking into the end zone, throwing it one-on-one, up and deep, and Armand Branch goes up, and does he haul it? And he does. An incredible catch by Armand Branch, and a 15-yard touchdown completion. Cunningham threw a beautiful ball.
I'm just going to run through it. We can talk like at the end or something.
And Festus leads 32-20 at the 5:02 mark of the fourth quarter. What a play.
It's a big game for Maya Cunningham, 191 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground last year in this game when he was wearing a Farmington Knights jersey. This year, he gained 136 on the ground and 222 through the air as part of the 2-quarterback system for Festus. Landon Yates, 6 catches for 158 yards. Festus coach A.J. Ofadale said the fourth quarter drive that his team put together could be a signature moment.
Kind of had some moments where we struggled this season, and I feel like maybe even underachieved a little bit in those kind of situations with the focus. And we got so many new guys doing new things, and so sometimes the focus and the detail has not been where it was. And so for us, this was kind of a moment to hang your hat on a little bit against a really quality program who's going to really challenge everything that you do. And for us to have that kind of drive, it speaks volumes of where our kids have come from the beginning of the season. And hopefully we'll continue moving in that direction.
And for Farmington coach Eric Krupe, he was happy to see his defense force 3 turnovers in the game.
We talked about winning football games like this. You need to be able to steal possessions, and, that means turnovers and things along those lines. And I was happy. That was our best game this year in regards to creating turnovers. So we were able to get 3 of them today. And, obviously that definitely helped us. And we just got to keep on grinding.
So Farmington falls to 3-5. They'll close out the regular season at Central this week, while Festus improves to 4-4. They finish the regular season at Jackson. So, Garrett, we talked about it at the Open, but the Class 4 District 1 standings, for the most part, well, the top 3, they're solidified: Hillsborough, North County, then Festus. There still could be a little movement there at the bottom. So Farmington's 4.5 points above Perryville. That there could be some shifting around there, and then Sykeston and DeSoto are at the bottom of the district. It's been a weird kind of tough season for Farmington. They've had some of these close games that that they haven't been able to pull out this year. Festus is always a good team. They're a quality squad. They pull out the win 41-20 now, and now you're Farmington going into a game against Central, and Central's the tied for 8th best team in the state in Class 3. It may be hard to gain some momentum going into the district playoffs at this point, but it feels like that, Farmington, they need to get anything out of this game against Central that they possibly can.
Yeah, they need to find something that works. And a lot of times they find themselves down early, but they're able to find something and they're able to claw back into games. We saw it against Poplar Bluff earlier this season, and we saw it in this game. We saw it against North County as well. This is a team, Farmington, that can produce at that high level. They just haven't been able to really put it together in 4 quarters. They did against Sykeston. They did against TDW Prep Academy. Yeah. But when it comes district time, they're going to need to be able to find 4 quarters of football. And same thing with Festus, find themselves up, but just cannot seem to finish sometimes. Was able to finish this game, though. And both Farmington and Festus, I think they're really a lot better than what their record shows. Festus going to go to Jackson. Yeah. Not going to say anything, but that's going to be a tough one. Yep. Farmington with a tough one as well. So they're both going to come in into districts with, not the best record in the world, but they can really put up some fights against some of those top dogs out there, and they're going to get some good challenge with some of the lower teams in there. So both Farmington Festus, I feel like they're going to be able to be competitive when it comes to district time. Yeah, we'll have to see. So we'll have the Farmington game on KREI this Friday, and we will step aside for another break here. When we come back, we'll break down the Jefferson County game of the night between Hillsborough and Cardinal Ritter. That's all next on your Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable on 98.5 FM.
Welcome back to the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable. We are live from the Applebee's in Farmington. Griffin Weinberg, Garrett Davenport with you on 98.5, MyMoInfo.com, streaming on Twitter and YouTube, and breaking down the Jefferson County game of the night last Friday. The Cardinal Ritter Lions, they had 3 second-half touchdowns, and they beat Hillsboro to ruin the Hawks' homecoming game. Final score, Cardinal Ritter 26, Hillsboro 13. Well, the Hawks, they took the first possession of the game, moved the ball down the field a little bit, but a big third down stop from the Lions forced them to punt in their own territory, and the punt was blocked. Cardinal Ritter recovers the ball inside the Hawks' 10-yard line, and they got on the scoreboard first.
Wide receivers, right and left, over the left side, across, and they have scored. Cardinal Ritter has run a post pattern here and has gotten on the scoreboard. Touchdown for the Lions.
But Hillsboro blocked the PAT attempt. There were a lot of missed PATs last Friday, at least one in each game. So it's 6-0 in favor of Cardinal Ritter. Midway through the first quarter, that was the score. Then Hillsboro, they took possession at the beginning of the second quarter. They go down the field, and with a little over 8.5 minutes to go in the first half, Jackson Patterson bulldozed his way into the end zone.
Handoff up the middle. It looks like a touchdown. It is touchdown for the Hawks. And the touchdown made by Jackson Patterson. From 2 yards out, he tied this ball game 6-6.
Any guesses what happened on this extra point? Well, it went wide left. So another missed PAT. The score is tied at 6-6, and it stays that way into halftime. With a little over 10 minutes to go in the third quarter, Cardinal Ritter, they jump back out in front. They got a 58-yard carry by Carson Boyd to get the touchdown. They went for two, failed, so now it's 12-6. Then the Hawks get the ball back, and they go down the field, and Jackson Patterson, once again, he scored on this 2-yard carry.
First and goal from about the 2 for the Hawks. Handoff right side, penalty flag in the end zone. Hawks score. The Hawks get the touchdown. We have a penalty flag thrown in the end zone. It goes against the Lions. It's a touchdown. It's a touchdown. The penalty called against the Lions. The penalty is declined, and the Hawks have tied it up.
Well, the extra point, that one's good by Nick Marchetti. So Hillsboro is leading for the first time in this game, 13-12. Go to the fourth quarter, though. Just over 9 minutes left in the game. The Lions found receiver Frederick Moore in the end zone for a 24-yard score.
9:36 left to play in this ball game. Lions go with 2 wide right. They throw it over there into the end zone. It is caught, and it is a touchdown. Frederick Moore hauls in a 24-yard touchdown pass as the Lions take the lead here with 9:31 to play in the ball game.
They go for 2 and convert it. Then Cardinal Ritter scores late to bring us to the final score of 26-13. Hillsboro coach Bill Saharsky, he says that his team was hurt by the turnovers.
We came out, we battled. We made mistakes. The old cliches, if you turn the ball over twice, going in to score and take points off the board on your own team, then it's going to come back to hurt you, and it did. I'm really proud of our kids, proud of their effort. I'm not bashful to say I love my guys. I think we're a better football team than they are. We just turned it over twice, and I don't think they were going to stop us. I think we had momentum, and our guys up front did a great job. Our running backs were running hard, and unfortunately, we just put it on the ground a couple too many times.
Well, Cardinal Ritter, they're undefeated. They're 8-0, and they remain the number 1 team in the state in Class 3. Hillsboro dropped their first game. They're 7-1. They only dropped 1 spot in the Class 4 rankings to 7th, which I think is very fair. They're still one of the top teams in the state, in my opinion. The Hawks, will be hosting Poplar Bluff this Friday. We'll step aside for another break here. We'll return and break down the rest of the games from the area from last Friday. That's all next on the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable on 98.5 FM. Welcome back to the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable, live from the Applebee's in Farmington. Griffin Weinberg, Garrett Davenport with you, and we are going to break down the other games that we did not broadcast last Thursday, last Friday, last Saturday. We had games for 3 straight days from the area. So let's start with the Thursday game. We actually did have that one on J98. I completely forgot about that because it felt so long ago.
It felt like 2 years ago, to be honest with you.
Yeah, lots happened since then. North County, they beat Potosi on their senior night, 45-14. North County senior night, that is. The very first drive of the game for the Raiders, they went 3 and out, but after that, they really turned things on. So Raiders coach Brian Jones, he tells us what the difference was from that point on.
Probably being aware of what they were giving us, having one plan and then that not working out, and then actually looking at their defense and seeing what we could take advantage of, and then taking advantage of that, and then settling on nerves. This is the second week in a row we've been, I won't say completely out of our routine, but we had some activities and tonight before the game was senior night, and kind of that rushed our pregame and rushed our walkthrough a little bit. So just settling in and getting things going on both sides of the ball. I think once we did that, the kids were pretty comfortable, and we got going.
And Griff, we all know how great of a player that Job Smith is. He had 18 rushes, 256 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, just, typical day in the office for Job Smith. But really, I just wanted to talk about that offensive line, how great they were on Thursday.
Yeah.
A lot of holes that Job Smith could have run through, and sometimes he got to the second level untouched. I mean, that offensive line, they're legit for North County.
Yeah, I mean, they got, 3 or 4 seniors on the offensive line, a lot of returners from last year too. They're good. And last week when we had Coach Jones and a couple of the players, Job Smith and Mason Lay is on the offensive line, defensive line. They were talking about it, how quick they get off the ball, how good they are, how long they hold the blocks. And it was all very much on display Thursday night against Potosi. So they're a dangerous team, those North County Raiders are. And Potosi, got to give them a little shine too. Portell, he had a great game, 8 catches, 168 and a touchdown. Then we were both mesmerized by the freshman Thomas Lambing for Potosi. 5 catches, 73 yards. He made one great catch. He laid out for it. And he was that's going to be a name I think we're going to be saying a lot over the next few years. So, at the end of it all, North County, they go to 7-1. Potosi, they drop to 3-5. Let's stick with the MAFC White Division as the Central Rebels beat Dexter 42-13. Corey Schweiss, he said that the defense and special teams had a great game.
Special teams was outstanding tonight. Everything we were doing. And Jackson Jones was all over the field on defense. I don't know how many tackles he had. I haven't stat sheet, but it seemed like he had 20 tackles tonight. He was all over the place. Tristan Stewart had a big game on defense. Sammy Callaway played well on defense. And honestly, our secondary is just really good. So, just a really good game for our defense. I mean, we had the shutout going until they scored a couple late ones on our JV. And, you can't say enough about those guys. I felt like we were just dominant.
Yeah, Joe Bryant, got to mention him. He is the Applebee's of Farmington Athlete of the Week. Punt return touchdown, receiving touchdown, rushing touchdown, fumble recovery touchdown, almost had a pick 6 in this game. He even talked to Coach Schweiss, said that Job went out and he was holding the PAT attempts. He'd never done that before, and he kind of went right into it smoothly.
That kid just does a whole lot of everything for the Central Rebels team. He's a special player, but also just want to give a shout out to all the coaches that had nominations for Athlete of the Week. You were saying it, Griff, a lot of nominations this week, and Joe Bryant really didn't run away with it. There was some conversation of who was going to be our Athlete of the Week. So, of course, all our coaches keep sending them in. We love to see it. Just so many great athletes in the area and so many nominations. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, there were a lot of tough choices to make, but what a heck of a game it was for Joe Bryant. Literally did a little bit of everything in this game to help the Rebels get to 7-1. Staying in the MAFC White Division, Valley Catholic had a Saturday game against Vianney, and they won 49-8. Now, the Warriors' special day, they got to honor the state championship teams that won 5 consecutive titles from 1988 to 1992. Jed Nagar said that it was just an all-around great day for Valley Catholic.
Yeah, it was great. Kids played well, and we were able to have a pretty good number of the players from those teams came back. And, Coach, Bacon was able to make it back, so he was able to spend some time with all of us. And, certainly was a good day to just kind of reminisce, tell some stories, and celebrate our program a little bit.
Bryce Giesler, he went over the 1,000 rushing yard mark in that game. He's at 1,030 on the season. Cohen Gibbs, fumble recovery for a touchdown. And Valley Catholic is 8-0 on the season, the number 2 team in the state in Class 3. They jumped up one spot from last week. Fredericktown, they fall to St. Francis Borgia by a score of 51-13, and the Black Cats are now 2-6 on the season. To the I-55 as St. Vincent pretty much clinched the I-55 title with a 49-6 win over Grandview. Tim Schumer talks about his team's progression.
It's been awesome to see, and I give all the credit goes to the players. They really bought in, back when I took over, and, each year it's kind of been building on one another. So, just their, effort and all that blood, sweat, and tears they put into it, has really been special. And then each year they kind of try to set the bar a little higher. So last year, we were a pretty young team, but then coming back, we had a lot of experience, and I thought that would, bode well for us come conference time.
Yeah, I-55 champions all but. They do have another conference game this Friday, but they're 5-0 in the conference. They have the head-to-head over St. Pius, and it's pretty much just semantics at this point. So congrats to St. Vincent. I mean, a heck of a season. They're the 9th-ranked team in the state in Class 1. They are 7-1 on the year, while Grandview drops to 2-6. Another Saturday game, and what a heck of a win for Perryville. They beat Herculaneum 22-20. Brent Roth, coach of the Pirates, says it was great to get a big win on homecoming.
Yeah, it's huge. You got the big crowd, big homecoming game, and then, also for the seniors, they're going to remember this one for the rest of their life. Big goal line stand at the end, the big first quarter that we had, and then just able to hold on for the win. And, hopefully we're able to get another game out here on the grass for those seniors. But who knows? That might be the last memory they have of playing here.
Perryville will be on the road this week, but again, just a huge win. They improved to 3-5, while Herky drops to 5-3, and staying in the I-55. We'll be joined by these folks in a little bit, but St. Pius beats Bayless 42-6 to improve to 6-2 on the year. Austin McGuckin, great game for him, over 140 yards and 3 touchdowns. Justin Lane, a rushing and receiving touchdown. Couple of picks each for Eli Frimmel and Connor Hamilton, and we're excited for that conversation coming up shortly. But some more scores from last week. Windsor falls to St. Clair 56-12. DeSoto drops to Cape Central 56-7. And then Seckman, they beat Oakville 35-14. Nick Bayer, head coach of the Jaguars, he really loved his defense in this game.
Yeah, well, our defense played great. I know we gave up 14 points. One of them was a 78-yard pass right before the half. And then Oakville came out right at the beginning of the second half and returned the kickoff. So it was like 14 points in 1 minute there. But, other than that, the defense pretty much shut them down with strong effort from our linebackers, Jaden Ashlock, Michael Stivers. And then our D-line up front, got it done again with Noah Isaiah, Don Maderos, Cam Woldridge, and Caden Laffey. So,
Seckman's in the same boat as St. Vincent. They are currently at the top of their conference, but they still have one more conference game to be played, and Seckman is going to clinch the Suburban Orange Conference. They're 4-0 in the league, and they will be playing 1-6 Webster Groves this Friday. The Cole Rubel counter, 39 carries, 300 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. Last Friday on the season, he's up to 1,758 rushing yards and 32 touchdowns in 8 games. Pretty impressive stuff from Cole Rubel. Going to be going to SEMO next year. Seckman is 7-1 on the season. Northwest still looking for their first victory. They are 0-8 after a 27-13 loss to Webster Groves. And in the Suburban Red Conference, Fox falls to Parkway South 30-20. The Warriors are 2-6. And Crystal City, they win by forfeit. They are 7-1. They were supposed to play Missouri Military Academy. Not sure what happened there. But MMA Academy, I think they're forfeiting their game this Friday too. So I don't know what the deal is, but Crystal City, they're 7-1. What a heck of a year. So let's do some big winners here real quickly. And I'll start it off. Perryville is my big winner. You were probably thinking that too, Garrett. I mean, that is I don't know if a season-saving win is the right way to put it, but an unexpected victory, I think, at this point, just with the way that Herculaneum their defense has been this year. Their offense has been electric, too. Lucas Barr is one of the best athletes in the area. But Perryville, they went up 22-0 in this game, And then Herculaneum, they controlled the ball for pretty much most of that second half. I think Perryville had the ball maybe 2 or 3 times. But, they did the right stuff at the beginning of the game. And then their defense came through at the end with a big stop. And they get the win over Herky. And now, things could be interesting this Friday as far as the game against St. Pius goes, as far as their district standings go. So we'll be on the lookout for that. But how about yourself, Garrett?
And I just want to touch on that real
Yeah.
quick. I mean, Brent Ross said they want to get another game, and I think it's an actual possibility that they could get a game if they get a win this Friday. Now, I don't really know how the standings work. I'm still confused, and I've been here for a year.
I don't get the numbers.
But the numbers, they might add up, they might not, but it's a real possibility. But I'm going to go to one of our broadcast game for our big winners. I'm actually going to go with the Festus Tigers. I mean, that game between them and the Farmington Knights, it really locked up who was going to get the 3 seed in Class 4 District 1. Festus wins. Now they are the 3 seed. Odds are they're going to be playing Sykeston in that first round instead of having to play, I believe, it would be, let me go back to the standings.
There's Sykeston in the 6th spot. The Sotos in that 7th spot.
You'd either have to play Perryville. So whoever had the 4 seed will have to probably pay Perryville at the 5, depending on what happens, or you get Sykeston and DeSoto. So Festus, odds are they're probably going to get Sykeston. So that really, it's a better matchup than Perryville. I'd rather play Sykeston.
Yeah. So, still some movement to be done there, but those are the big winners. And coming up next on the Coles Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable, we will speak with the St. Pius Lancers. Head coach Dan Oliver brought some of his players down here. We'll talk about their win over Bayless and the upcoming game against Perryville this Friday. That's all next on the Coles Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable on 98.5 FM. Back into the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable. We're live from the Applebee's in Farmington and being joined by our special guest, the St. Pius Lancers. We got sitting on my left, well, if you're watching on Twitter and YouTube, Griffin Weinberg here. And to my left, we got Alex Moises. Next to him, Dabrian Moss. Next to him, Carter Bone. On the far side of the booth, Athletic Director Coach Tilden Watson, and then Head Coach Dan Oliver sitting on the other side over here. Guys, appreciate you coming down. I know it's not the simplest drive, I guess, on a Tuesday night, but glad that you can make it down here. So thank you so much. Been another really good season for you. I know you follow up the season last year. You win the I-55 title. Right now you're 6-2. I know that, the conference stuff is pretty much all, over with. So I guess let's start with that, Coach. Knowing that there is a game against Perryville coming up this Saturday, an I-55 matchup, but you don't have to worry about, conference implications of it, just, I guess, district kind of stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, right now, I mean, I guess if R7 beats St. Vincent, then we could, get it back in a piece of it. But, I mean, we're kind of out of the driver's seat right now as far as that goes. But, we're looking at district implications, like you said, and we need to do certain things to try to ensure ourselves the best opportunity we can do. And that first thing is to win the game. Then if Herky and Crystal get together and Herky pulls it out and maximizes their points there, then that could also help us to jump over Crystal. So there's a lot of stuff that's left up in the air right now. Basically we just have to do what we were supposed to do and win out and do what we can, and then sit back and figure out that mission math. It's I don't know who figured that out.
I'm right there with you. I've never been able to figure any of that stuff
strength
out.
of schedule and all this stuff, and then you're like, well, there's people ahead of us that I guarantee didn't have the strength of schedule we did, but that's all right.
So I guess I'm curious about Crystal City. They've played a couple of teams.
I didn't say Crystal City, but that's okay.
That's that's just something that I'm thinking of. They're 7-1. They're winning games.
Right.
They played a couple of winning teams too, but they're still ahead of you in terms of the points for the district stuff, even though they get the forfeit win last week. So, I'm trying to figure out the math that goes along with it. But, a heck of a season for Crystal City, too. But, you guys are doing well there. You're sitting in that 4 spot in the district standings. Let's talk a little bit about the Bayless game, I guess, last week. Everyone seemed to do a little bit of their own part. I know Austin McGuckin had a big game. Justin Lane had a nice game in there, too. Just how was your overall evaluation, I guess, of your guys last Friday?
Well, I feel like, they came out and played really well against us. I mean, that's probably one of their best starts of a game for, Bayless from what I saw in film. I mean, I just felt like they were, very in tune with what we were wanting to do and took some things away. And, we kind of pounded on it a little bit and finally got kind of broke through. But, Austin did have, several big plays for us, and especially early on. He had the 92-yard run that kind of got things going. And a lot of the work obviously is always up front with Carter and, Christian McCline and Alan Reed and Alex, up front. And then, Dabrian, is pounding it on the other side. And then, Austin, got some, got some love there and broke one off for us. But, you got to like what Brennan Irvin's done for us, coming in, filling in for James and being pretty steady back there. And he's a year younger than James. And I think at this point last year, James would have probably had, somewhat different outcomes in some of the things he's done this year. But, he's been very, very good for us. And then, hopefully we'll get James back this week, next week, sometime soon. And Brennan knows that, and he's working. He had probably his best practice of the year today in practice. And just, he's just kind of settling in and doing a real good job for us. So, that's been fantastic to see him, kind of take a hold of that and do a good job. Defensively, the other night, we were lights out.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been pretty much lights out most nights this year, even against St. Vincent, where the score ended up being a little bit more lopsided. But I mean, if you go back 4 minutes to go in the game or 5 minutes, something like that, it's 7-6. And and again, Brennan was doing a pretty good job. But man, I'm gonna tell you, I'd like to go back and do a little history revisionist here and put James in there. If I had my little Madden controller in my hand, and see what he'd done. Because, James has been good for 3 to 5 touchdowns a game up until, when he gets hurt. But, that's not taking anything away from Brennan, because Brennan did a great job that night. He really managed the game very well on a very difficult team that gave us some fits with some things they did. And then, offensively, they were really good. And we were really good all night until, we broke down one play and then kind of, the wheels came off just a little bit there. But, they're a good team, and there's no doubt about it. They're ranked ninth in the state or something like that. So, we don't really have to hang our heads too low about, not winning that one. But obviously it would have been nice to repeat as conference champs and have that little feather in your cap too. But there's still some other goals we've set for the season, and those are still attainable, and we're still fighting for it every day. And these guys are a big part of that, and that's why we brought them down here tonight.
Yeah, you guys are right in the thick of it. And I remember just, James last year getting those reps in that Valley Catholic game at the end of the season too.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of good that came of that. So, Alex, let's start with you. So, offensive line,
Yeah.
defensive line, or
Yeah, I'd say defensive line.
Okay.
Main position.
Mostly defensive line. So the defense, the most points you guys have given up in a game this year is 26, which, I think that a lot of teams would take that as a victory. That was in the week 1 win against Brentwood.
Yeah.
Since then, the 21 points that you gave up to St. Vincent, not over 20 points at any other point this year. Well, a very general question, but, what do you think has been working on the defensive line, I guess, side of things for you guys this season?
I mean, on the defensive line, I say, I don't know. We're some dogs back there. I don't know. Our whole defense is just, we all have good chemistry with each other. We just get it done. We kind of feed off of each other's energy. When somebody else is doing good, it kind of brings the rest of the defense up. And then, I don't know, it's pretty much lights out from there. We tend to shut most people down after that. After we get in the right mindset, if everyone's in the right mindset, our defense is on point.
Yeah, so I guess besides Carter, who are some of the other guys on the D line that have been, pretty instrumental for you guys this year?
Well, I'd say Chase Watercutty. He's the other. He's the defensive end on the left side. Christian does play some nose guard, and then Joe Ortman. He's kind of in and out of being hurt, but he definitely has his moments for sure. Alan Reed stepped up the last few games. Let me know if I'm forgetting any. Aiden too.
Yeah,
a couple of games for sure.
Contributions from a lot of guys around. Sounds like. Yeah, Dabrian, we know that you're a good offensive talent. We've seen what you can do there. You play on the defensive side of the ball too?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm an outside linebacker on the left side.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess as far as the leadership qualities that maybe you kind of bring to the team, because you guys are all seniors, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
So Dabrian, being a senior on this team, being one of the guys that you won a conference title with last year too. How important, has it been to, be a leader, I guess, for this squad, being for the 6-2 team?
It's very important, getting young guys confidence and up to speed with everything. That really just puts everything together, and that just puts a really solid defense on the table and gives us other teams a very hard night.
Yeah, and you're catching a lot of balls too, most receptions and yards on the team. So when the change is made, when James has to come out, he's hurt, and then Brennan comes in, do you do any extra work with him on the side?
Yes, sir. All the receivers and running backs stay after practice for 10, 15 minutes and go through all our routes and make sure we're perfecting everything, getting our timing down and all type of stuff. So, yeah, staying after practice has definitely helped him too.
Yeah, have you guys kind of seen his confidence grow a little bit more over the past few games too?
Oh yeah, most definitely. His difference from the first game and the last game that we played is it's crazy. Dude, he's impressed a lot of us with how much confidence he's gotten over in such a short span of time.
Yeah, it's always good to hear about that. So Carter, your offense and defensive line?
Yes.
What position on O-line are you?
I'm the right guard.
You're the right guard. Okay.
Yes.
What's kind of break me down pre-snap, whatever you're looking for is the right guard, and the communication stuff that you're talking, with the center or whoever you're trying to identify, on the defensive side.
Yeah, before the play, we always just like we point at the guy we're going to block. Before the play, we always try to know who we're going to hit, and, after we hit them, break off and go to a linebacker, and we just always try to have an idea in our mind about what we're going to do during the play.
Yeah, and I guess as far as opening up holes for this team, because there's a lot of guys that can carry the ball. We talked about Austin, Dabrian's carrying the ball a lot here too. Nolan, in there, Justin carrying the ball. What is it, about, I guess, how are you guys sort of creating these holes? Are you guys more of a powerful offensive line? Would you say it's maybe more like technique and speed, that kind of thing?
I think it's kind of a mix of both. I mean, we like power running, we like just driving people back, making bigger holes and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Coach Watson, athletic
Yes, sir.
director Watson, the man who's doing a little bit of everything.
Yes, sir.
So, what do you coach on the team?
Defensive coordinator.
You're the defensive coordinator too. So,
And O-line. I work with O-line too. So.
yeah, a little bit of everything. I want to go back to the defense because there's only been 2 or rather 3 games this season where you guys have given up double-digit points. So, working with these guys since they've been, whether it's freshmen or sophomores, I guess, and having them grow into the team that they are now, was this sort of did you envision maybe the defense sort of being a backbone of this team for this year?
Well, we knew we were going to be solid this year. And the biggest thing is, like I said, most of these guys we've had, for 3 to 4 years. And I'll be straight up honest, these guys are the ones who run the defense. I haven't made a defensive call from the sideline in probably about 4 years. We go in, I meet with the linebackers, meet with the safeties. We talk about when they're in this formation, we need to be run this in the box, this in the coverage. So we will constantly change our coverages depending on what they do and what side of the field they're on. I teach them what we're supposed to be doing. Like if they come out in a bone set, then we're going to be going to a 3 front. Then they come out in a spread set, we're in a 4 front, but then we're going to be, hook curls with the inside backers, or we're going to actually drop one inside backer and the other one sit middle, spy quarterback. They picked all that up. And then they make the calls based on the offense that comes out.
Yeah.
So it lets them, instead of calling from the sideline, I'm a firm believer, if you call from the sideline, I got my stat sheet here, like, okay, in 3rd and long, they like to do this.
Yeah.
They come out now, all of a sudden we're set up for a spread formation. They come out in a power formation. And I got the defense called for a spread formation. We line up to it, and these guys do an amazing job at rules. They have, we'll call from the side, hey, rules are on. And that tells the outside linebackers, hey, if this lined up this way, you got an automatic blitz.
Yeah.
If they line up like this, you have coverage, or you got, whatever. And everybody has their own assignment. And the linebacker, the inside backer, and the safety make all the calls, the box call and the coverage calls.
Okay, so like at each layer of the defense, there's different guys making calls.
Yep. And then the safety will actually tell the backers, hey, you guys are going to drop right hash, you're going to drop middle, you're going to drop whatever. So the linebackers will actually, the safety will actually tell the linebackers too, you got this on the run, but this on the and with his pass coverage.
Yeah. So is that something that you've always done as a coach, or did you kind of where did you originally develop that idea?
It's just something that I'm a firm believer in teaching the game instead of just coaching the game, because I want them to understand the game, why we do what we do. Because if you just go out there and just, hey, I don't want robots. Robots don't do anything besides what you tell them to do. I want them to use their brain. They're freaking smart kids. Let them use their brain. Let them play the game. Let them understand the game. So when they come out, like last year with Herky, we lined up. Herky came out with a crazy unbalance. They had a quarterback got hurt. They had a tight end, guard, center, and everybody else on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
And he lines up. He looks out. His rule, he's blitzing. Safety, hollers at safety, tell safety to roll over. My inside linebacker moved the whole defensive line over, and they moved the whole linebacking core over one hole. They did everything. Usually you have to call a timeout because you've never seen this before. And they just did their rules. Boom, boom. They bounced down. They had to call a timeout. He ended up getting like 5 sacks on the night, and but because of the rules, because of teaching them the game.
Yeah.
And now like, well, coach, they don't. I don't care what they line up in. We can whatever you line up in, we will cover you.
Yeah, so I want to get back to that, but Coach, it's almost like having a catcher just call the game himself. Like, do you call the game when you're coaching, or do you let the catcher do it?
I send the plays in with the wide receivers, and I do that basically because I can get a lot more guys involved in the game, and there's certain plays where we'll like, hey, you stay in because I want that combination or whatever, but. For the most part, I do it a little bit differently, but we do have a lot of our same rules and stuff, and on offense where they know if we say certain words and certain things, we can change it up a little bit based upon what we're seeing on the other side of the field. Like the other night when Justin got his second touchdown, we'd been running ISO. So I just called it, a little bit different play and give it a little variation, and then everybody kind of picked it up and he hit it, and they were looking for the ISO, so it just kind of left him wide open to hit that. So, but I also wanted to kind of hit on what Coach is saying there too. His safety, which is Connor Hamilton this year. And Connor's another senior that we have that we're very blessed with. And he and Eli Frimmel had 2 picks the other night each. And I think Eli might be leading the area in interceptions at this point. You know, he's had several this year. And then Connor has just, blossomed into this kid that last year we were running him at corner and moving him around. We didn't know whether he was going to be an outside the backer or a corner or where he would fit in. And I had my ideas about defense, but I mean, I'll leave it all really to coach. We just talk back and forth and throw things at the wall and see, how each other reacts to that, or how it will roll into something for our team. But he said he thought Connor could do it, and I thought like Matt Mariani, who plays outside backer across from Dabrian, I thought Matty could do it. But Matty's like our little Swiss knife, man, and wherever we need Matty to go, Matty can figure it out and get in there and get after it. And he gives it 110% every day. Probably one of the best teammates anybody could ever have, and stuff. So Connor took that over, and coach kind of saw it in him, and he knew what he was looking for, and so he saw the right guy, and Connor just really has grown into that spot, and Colin Smith did it for us last year, and then Connor did it for us this year, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't trade it for either one. I think they're both great, but Connor's done a great job for us, but man, we've been blessed really with a lot of great guys on defense this year, and I really think that a lot of the success they're having on that side of the ball is helped us on short fields and getting turnovers and getting the ball back and enough opportunities to where we can score as well. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. How many seniors do you have on the team?
We have 17 seniors now. Not all those guys. Some of them have joined us late. Chase just moved back to the area his mom and dad were from, Pius alums actually, and they just moved back. So we were blessed to get him this year, and he's been a very, very big part of our defense. And he's done a lot of good stuff on offense too. It just hasn't shown up in the stat sheets and stuff as much as just doing his work and doing what he's supposed to do. He's a very quiet young guy and a big guy too. So that also helped. But he was a safety at Belleville Althoff last year, and coach said, I think he's a DN for us. And I don't know if Chase was excited about that or if he believed it or what, but man, he's done a great job. And Alex gets a lot of attention at the end with all the sacks and the pressures and things he does over there. But man, Chase is on the other side, just working, and he's had some big plays as well. So a lot of guys putting into it. I mean, it's a team effort, and we benefit from it in the end.
Yeah, so 9 sacks, I think, if the number is right for you, Alex, this year. We'll go with whatever the numbers say on some of the websites.
Yeah, on the website it's a little cloudy, but when I when I looked through my film, it was a little more. But we don't need to get into all that.
Hey, no, that's fine. You know what you know. Yeah. So, has there been any big plays on the defensive side of the ball that have really given you guys maybe extra energy throughout a game or changed the momentum of a game?
I mean, I'd say Herky game, even though coach wasn't too happy with me and my energy because I was a little too energetic.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like
animated.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I guess could y'all say that like people kind of feed off the energy when someone else is doing something, no matter if it's me or anybody else. People kind of just feed off the energy. If somebody starts going crazy after it is something good, the whole team just starts getting that energy. And then, like I said, at that point, our defense is locked down. You're not getting.
I gotcha.
Not getting any yards.
Yeah, a little animated. Any maybe laundry on the field that ended up.
Yeah. That was the part. I mean, I'm all fired up about the fired up, but the other part was not so good.
Okay, well, their stands was like
they were, but yeah.
Hey, those games get intense too. I think especially with how Herculaneum has come along this year. They're a very good team. They got a really good defense too. So
very physical.
Yeah, it can get pretty intense there. How about same question for you, Dabrian? Have you noticed, any big defensive play that's, giving you guys maybe a little more energy or kind of change momentum?
Yeah. The beginning of the St. Vincent game in the first quarter, I had I forgot his name. I think it's like Moonier or something, number 86. He caught a little swing pass, and he jumped up, and I picked him up and I slammed him. And I think that was like a real spark plug play for us, and it got to get us going. And It really
That's
like
nice. He's
it really demoralized. It really demoralized them for the most part for the first half. But yeah. I think I've had a couple plays like that this season.
You got the film on that tackle?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Yes,
I,
sir.
I imagine you probably watched that a few times
Oh,
here and
most
there.
definitely. You know I had to. Yes, sir.
I bet. So Carter, like I asked you earlier, when you're on the offensive side of the ball, what are you looking for on the defensive side of things? But I guess let's flip that. When you're on the defensive side of the ball and you're looking for certain things, whatever you're calling out to the defensive lineman, kind of walk me through, I guess, the pre-snap on that side of the ball.
Yeah, so actually it's our linebacker Justin Lane. He's giving us the calls, where to go. He sees everything and he'll tell us either, if we're bull rushing to bull rush or if he wants us to slant, which way to slant. But yeah, a lot of it's just kind of just looking at who you're going up against and trying to see what their weakness is, what move you can use or like how you can attack them. But yeah, good job making calls and we just kind of listen to him. So.
All right. So, yeah, the last thing I got for you guys, I want to talk a little bit about the Perryville game this coming Friday. We were talking before the interview. They get the win over Herculaneum, 22-20. They're 3-5 now. Herculaneum drops to 5-3. But this is a game that might give Perryville a little bit, more momentum. Maybe they're feeling good about this, and they have a chance to move in their district too, where they're at. So, Coach, I guess what is the approach for this game? The I-55 conference game. But this is a Perryville team that, it feels like they're going to have a lot more to play for in this one against you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conference game, so obviously, if you're not fired up about somebody you're playing there, then you probably need to go do something else, And but we always talk about it's not so much who we're playing; we're doing ourselves. We're doing what we do. We're trying to improve on that. We're trying to be perfect. We're trying to be better than we were last week or than we were yesterday, and things like that is what we talk about all the time. Because you can get into that game of, well, they get them and they only, and you try that math never really works out. The best math is just make sure you take care of number one and make sure that you're playing your best ball, and then usually everything will take care of itself. We're in a good spot. I mean, we're coming in with some momentum and they have some as well. But I also feel like that, we're very have a lot of confidence right now in the way we've been playing, and we've been playing really strong. I feel confident that if we have a mistake, we threw a pick early in the Bayless game, and they got the ball down there close, and our defense just said no, it's not going to happen, and they shut them down, and we got the ball back, and then kind of got ourselves going and got back in control of the game. So that's something that we can take confidence in and comfort in and feel like. We're never out of it. I mean, Herculaneum game, I mean, they had the ball down there, they were driving, they were coming back. And if they get that and the convert, we're going home with a bad feeling. And, Connor steps up, makes the pick and we get the ball and run the clock out. And it's just been several times like that this year. Those plays have happened for us. And so our guys, kind of have a comfort and being able to a little bit rely on each other to somebody's going to make the play. Somebody's going to do something tonight. And, and hopefully it's going to go our way. And it usually has. So we've been very fortunate in that.
Yeah, that's what I like about you guys, honestly, is that it feels like you are playing some really good football right now and things are going your way. And yet you're sitting in fourth in the district standings. But, I mean, it feels like a dangerous spot for whoever may be sitting above you by the end of the regular season and how the district standings shape out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we played Brentwood first game and we probably had 10 or 10 turnovers with interceptions and what have you. But lost 7 of them. We lost 7 of them. And I feel like that at any time we could have turned that game like that and gone, but and gone a different way. But we just weren't consistent at that time. And since then, we've just kind of eliminated those mistakes and minimized them at least, if not eliminated. And I'd like to eliminate them, but for the most part, they haven't really hurt us. The couple of fumbles or a couple of things that we've had in the last game or two, but we always say the team that makes the least amount of mistakes is probably the one that's going to win, and so that we always want that to be us if we can.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're looking forward to seeing what happens this Friday, especially what happens in the district playoffs too. We'll be there with you along the way. You guys enjoy the food?
Oh,
Yes,
definitely.
sir.
Yeah,
Definitely.
good,
Thank
good.
you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming down. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is great. Appreciate it. And congrats so far on a good season. Obviously, still a few more games to go, but good luck the rest of the way. All right, guys?
Appreciate it.
Thank
Appreciate
you so
it.
much. Alex Moises, Debray Moss, Carter Bone, Tilden Watson, Dan Oliver of the St. Pius Lancers. We're back with more of your Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable after this. Welcome back to the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable. We are live from Applebee's in Farmington for one final segment. We're going to be breaking down this Friday's games and giving a little preview there. But, yeah, thanks again to Dan Oliver, the St. Pius Lancers, for all coming down here. They were fantastic, and they got a fun game against Perryville coming up this Friday. And we'll have that interview ready for you later on tonight or early tomorrow morning up at mymoinfo.com. But, all right, Griffin Weiber, Garrett Davenport, we're going to talk about this week's games, and we'll start with Thursday. North County, they're back at it on a Thursday. They are taking their 7-1 record to Sullivan. They are 6-2, Sullivan is. So that could be a fun one for the Raiders to finish off the regular season. And then a whole slate here on Friday. So we mentioned Perryville is at St. Pius. Poplar Bluff is 4-4. They are at Hillsboro. 4 straight wins for Poplar Bluff. They beat Kennett last week, too, by 21 points. So I'm sure Hillsboro, though, they're going to be fired up to get a win after that loss to Cardinal Ritter last Friday. Orchard Farm and DeSoto, a couple 1-7 teams. It's going to be senior night for the DeSoto Dragons. Orchard, they've already got losses to St. Jen, Brentwood, and St. Charles West throughout this season. Grandview and Chaffee, another game of even records. They're both 2-6. That game is at Grandview. Festus is at Jackson this week. Fox is going to be at Ladue. Webster Groves is going to be at Seckman. Again, if Seckman, they've already pretty much clinched the Suburban Orange, but that will certify the conference title. Northwest, they are hosting Melville, looking for their first win. Windsor is going to Cuba. Cuba's 0-8. Windsor is 3-5. Fredericktown, East Prairie, they're both 2-6 there. Cape Central is at Potosi. And I kind of Cape Central's a tough team. I kind of like Potosi in that spot, though. They had a really good second half against North County. Kelly is going to be at St. Genevieve. That could be another interesting matchup. Class 2 Kelly. It'll be senior night for the Dragons. And then Valley Catholic is at Kennett. Could be a preview of a potential district matchup there. So, Garrett, as we look at all those games that we will not be broadcasting, is there any one certain game that you're kind of looking at where you're like, I'm kind of interested? I'm going to start, and I'll say that I think the Fredericktown game, Fredericktown, they're going to be at East Prairie, a couple of, again, 2-6 teams there. The Black Cats, they've had a tough go of it the last couple of weeks, but I think they're going to be taking some momentum into that matchup, and I'm very curious to see how they pull it out. And the same goes for St. Genevieve. I think that the Dragons, if my big winner wasn't Perryville, it would have been St. Gen, because you get Wide Spring Camper back. Now that the offense is looking, a little more put together, I guess, with a big playmaker like him. So they're going to be hosting Kelly. It's a chance for the Dragons to take some momentum into the district playoffs, where they would, a potential matchup versus the top-seeded Valley Catholic or second-seeded Central would await them. So those are two that I'm kind of eyeing. Garrett, anything that's really catching your eye?
There's a lot of games that are actually catching my eye. There's a lot of games, and they might not be the closest in records, but like Poplar Bluff and Hillsboro is one. Of course, Perryville and St. Pius. But really, right now, I'm just looking at North County at Sullivan. I mean, that's a road game for North County on a Thursday. Sullivan, not a bad team. Don't know a whole lot about Sullivan, but just looking at the record, 6-2. So they must have, a pretty solid team. And North County really loaded up the end of their schedule with some pretty good football teams. I mean, North County, they've really been through the ringer this season. So to end it off, again, in another type of ringer game, could be big for North County going into district. So I really like that game. I think it will be competitive. Again, don't know much about Sullivan, but still, I think it's going to be a good challenge for North County on the road. So I'm excited to see where that one is. But yeah, just go back to it. I mean, Kelly, St. Gen, Cape Central, Potosi, you mentioned that as well. So there's just a lot of games on this schedule that can be pretty competitive, and we'll see, how it turns up at the end of Friday.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun Friday night, in my opinion. So a lot of good games to look out for, and three great games for you on the regional radio airwaves. On AM 1400 KJF, it's going to be Crystal City. They are hosting Herculaneum, and that's just a game I don't know what to expect much out of. I mentioned it during the St. Pius interview. We just don't know what Crystal City really has. They're 7-1. They've beaten some, solid teams. Had that close loss to Russellville in the last play of the game that could have been called for a touchdown. So they're, a potential close call away from being undefeated at 8-0. But now they're going to be hosting a Herculaneum team that I'm sure is hungry to finish off the regular season with a win. It's interesting. So they played each year from 2010 to 2020. Herky went 10-1 in those games. The only win for Crystal City during that time was in 2011. And then from 2016 to 2019, Herky outscored Crystal City 141 to 8. Game was a little closer in 2020. Herky won by 18 points, but this is a different Crystal City team, and they're really on the up. But I just don't know what to expect from this one, Gary.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a real big defensive challenge for Crystal City, and really for Crystal City on both sides of the football. I think this is probably going to be one of the best defensive teams that they have played all season long. And for Herculaneum, it's if you can put together 4 quarters of football. We've seen this team so far this season be good, and really good at that, for about a half offensively and a half defensively. And if they can put together something in the fourth quarter, in the complete 4-quarter game, it's a really good Herculaneum squad. But we haven't gotten to see Crystal City this year, so and we're just definitely looking forward to seeing them this Friday over on AM 1400 KJF. I'm a feeling this one's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of offense. I think that Crystal City defense has been pretty good this year too. So I mean, Could be wrong. We were wrong last week when it comes to Jefferson St. Jim. That was not a defensive game. But I think this one might end up in the 20s. I think that's how the score might end up.
Yeah, we just haven't seen Crystal City play at all this year, so we're excited for it. Hal Neisler is going to have the broadcast for the game on KJF on Friday. Garrett's going to be in Park Hills as the Central Rebels are hosting the Farmington Knights. It is senior night for Central. That game is, of course, on AM 800 KREI. Talked about it, close to the start of the show, but tough spot, I think, for Farmington because Central is what Central is. And Farmington at this point, they're a young team. They've had their moments. It's going to be hard to put together a full game against the Rebels. But, maybe there's something that Farmington can take out of this game where that, might give them a little bit of an extra push going into district play.
Well, another thing for Farmington is really you got nothing to lose against a Central team that's
point.
7-1, and you can really just test out everything at this point. And Farmington, they're going to try to control that football, and for Central not to put up points on the board. But we know how good of a Central team that they got over there. They got one of the most complete teams in the area offensively, defensively. So really, offense going to be the best defense for Farmington. They're going to have to keep that football out of the hands of Kason Murphy and Joe Bryan and that whole squad that they got over there because it's going to be a lot of points from Central. But Farmington, they have some skill. And again, they're the same way with Herculaneum is they got to put together 4 quarters of football. And you got a lot of young guys back there. This is going to be a good experience for them too, playing a team like Central. So we'll see what happens on senior night for Central, but definitely going to be a tough challenge for the Farmington Knights.
Yep, Garrett will have that call. Coach Noble, believe, will be joining you on the call for this one. So the always great Coach Terry Noble there. And the J98 game of the week, well, Jefferson, they were such a great host to us last week and had an exciting game. We're going to go back to Jefferson High School as the Blue Jays are hosting St. Vincent, the number 9 team in the state in Class 1. This is a game that's always, close and exciting. Over the last 4 years, during the Tim Schumer era, this is Tim Schumer's 5th year as the head coach of St. Vincent. Jefferson's 3-1 in those games, but last year Jefferson wins 20-14. In 2020, they win 35-28. In 2018, it was 21-20. St. Vincent's win in 2019 was by a final score of 41-28. So this is St. Vincent 7-1, Jefferson 4-4. Jefferson's record at 4-4 doesn't dictate how they're playing right now. They're playing above that level, in my opinion. But they're going to be challenged against St. Vincent, one of the top
and we
teams
talked before we came onto the show is that this Jefferson offense is so much better than they were at the beginning of the season, just a completely different. So I'm thinking, that Jefferson offense is putting up more points with some of the teams that they played at the beginning of the season rather than, the 6 points that they were able to put up a game. This is completely different. So this is not the same team that we saw at the beginning of the season. So I'm really liking the St. Vincent and Jefferson game too. I don't really know how it's going to go. I don't have a lot of experience about St. Vincent. I haven't got to see their team, but with Jefferson, really an improved offense. So I feel like this one could get into the high scoring as well with how Jefferson played last week.
Yeah, with St. Vincent, they are a team that can put up a lot of points. Tim Schumer, he likes to get tricky. He likes to kind of fool you with some things. But St. Vincent's defense this season, they have been, very hard to score on. Their only loss is to Valley Catholic. And, it's Valley Catholic, so you can't really be too upset about that one. They're a really good team. Their defense is together. They are a complete ball club, and Jefferson is turning into that at the right time. So this is going to be a fun game. Ryan Reinheimer is going to have the broadcast for the J98 game of the week. He's the program director up at AM 1400 KJF. So me and Garrett, we're here on the show tonight. We are minus Hal Neisler. He was, preoccupied with some other duties at work. Chad is not with us. Chad Speaker, our fearless leader. His father passed away this past Saturday, so he is going to be gone. He will not do any of the games this Friday. I'm sure he's going to be listening, but Chad, if you are listening, of course, we're always thinking of you, and we appreciate your work, and we hope that things are going well for you as good as they can be back home. But we appreciate Ryan for stepping up, and he's going to have an exciting game for you between St. Vincent and Jefferson this upcoming Friday. That is going to end the Kohl's Tractor and Equipment Football Roundtable this evening. A thank you to the St. Pius Lancers, head coach Dan Oliver, and the kids that were able to join us A thank you to Garrett Davenport. A thank you to Amy Cousins here at Applebee's in Farmington. And a thank you to Jack Sadler, engineering and operating everything back in the regional radio studios. And thank you to you for listening wherever you may be and however you may be listening. I'm Griffin Weinberg, wishing you all a wonderful rest of your evening. Stay sweet out there. This is The Boot.